Spotlight में आपका स्वागत है. मैं हूं आपकी host Amitha. Join me weekly as I talk to inspiring guests who will share their success stories. A lawyer, a community leader, a supporter of the arts, and much more. Our guest today is the principal owner of RD Law Professional Corporation and the current chair on the board of directors for Peel Crime Stoppers. It is my pleasure to welcome to our show Miss Rinku Deswal. Rinku, thank you for coming today.
Thanks, Amitha, for having me.
Congratulations on the multiple hats you wear.
Thank you.
And we are ready to be inspired by Rinku. लेकिन पहले हमें आपके बारे में कुछ बताइए about your growing up, your education.
Well, Amitha, I was actually born in New Delhi. I'm so sort of bred from India. Moved to Dubai when I was 1 year old. My dad was in aviation, so he transferred over. And then a few years later, we transitioned to Toronto, to Canada. So I came here at the age of I was maybe about 5 or 6 years old. So basically, pretty much grew up here. Sari education yahan hui hai. And although it was very important for my family to stay connected to India, so because Dad was in aviation, we used to travel back, I would say, yearly to India. So I always kept that connect. My grandparents also lived with us, my dada and dadi. And my grandmother never spoke English. She spoke Hindi. So ghar mein bhi Hindi hum bolte the, and they used to travel back 6 months. They were there, they were here. So we always had that connect. Nice. But pretty much raised here and grew up here. All my education was here. And, I have one older brother, and it's just my parents and my brother and nice. My grandparents. So that's basically
and
the infrastructure.
Awesome. So, जैसे आपकी जो इंडिया में परिवार होते हैं, the same thing you have here, and you have moved on to make a name for yourself. आपको कब पता चला that you wanted to be a lawyer?
Actually, it's really interesting. A lot of people ask me that question, and they are shocked when I tell them I wanted to be a lawyer when I was like 15 years old.
Wow.
I was always interested in, I love to read, and I was always interested in, Matlock, Perry Mason, these shows that were aired around that time, the suspense crime shows. Yeah. And I always had a fascination for it, and I always loved to talk. I was always a talker. So everyone used to say, the lawyer hi banegi. So I knew at a very young age that I was inclined towards it. I don't know if I really understood what it meant to be a lawyer, but I loved those shows, and I loved, what I felt. It was about the righteousness and fighting for what was right, and at the end, really, solving that crime or whatever the case may be. So for me, it was at a young age. So I did my education at U of T. I did my undergraduate there. After that, I transitioned. I did a master's in counseling psychology. After that, then I did my law degree. Wow. And then I, of course, practiced on Bay Street for some time. And then soon thereafter, then I transitioned and I started my own law firm.
Yes, so we heard about the RD Law Professional Corporation. Lekin, why did you change? Like most of the people are good in their comfort zone, being part of another corporation. How did you decide that you wanted to be an entrepreneur and move out into your own firm? It's
interesting because I jumped fairly early into my career, into my own practice. And I would say, a lot of people would say you're in the sort of the early years of your career, you're at the peak. I was traveling quite a bit. I was practicing in aviation. I was representing airlines. There was a lot of travel involved. And there's, of course, you're in downtown. The environment was so wonderful. But I also learned very early in my career by watching others that, I was always someone who wanted to create my own path. And I wanted to do it on my terms. That was very important to me. So very early on, I said, if I don't get out sooner than later, you get sort of stuck in a rut, and it just becomes very comfortable. So very early on, I said, if I'm going to work this hard, I might as well do it for myself. So I had family support, of course, with my parents and my brother, and so I decided to transition out, start my own firm, and I never looked back. And this year, we're hitting 10 years.
Love it. Congratulations. Were there any challenges along the way? But you sound like a go-getter, and she is one. We'll find out what all she does. But were there any challenges making that transition?
You know what? There's always challenges when you're younger. From the perspective that when I started my own firm, I didn't want to compromise on the clientele. I still wanted to practice in one of my niche areas at my law firm is aviation. And I wanted to continue that work, working with airlines and with aviation partners. So, you know, how do you sort of do that when you're working with senior partners at bigger firms and they have so much experience and then you're starting off on your own a couple of years later, you know, with only a couple of years under your belt. But one of the things, so that was one of the challenges I faced to convince people that I could do it, that I could take on those heavy files and that I would be just as powerful and successful and be able to litigate matters just as diligently as the big firms. So that was a bit of a challenge. And I would always tell people, give me a chance, give me a smaller file and let me prove this to you. And, you know, I got all sorts of terminology thrown at me, you know, over the years, like you're a pit bull and all this wonderful stuff. And I always took all of that as a compliment because for me, it wasn't about being aggressive, it was about being assertive. And really, at the end of the day, I always say it, who do you think is doing all that work at the firms? It's usually the juniors that are working all those hours and whatnot. So I convince people step by step. So that was the one challenge I faced, but I found that it was possible to overcome it.
Good for you. Even in the face of adversity, you saw something positive, you stood at some motivator and you went along with it. And like you said, now you're celebrating 10 years.
Yes, we are.
Congratulations once again. So what does your firm offer in terms of services?
Well, we're a full-service firm, so I have a team of lawyers and who are associates as well as of counsel. So we have diverse areas of practice. So we do corporate commercial, we do family. We are predominantly a civil litigation firm. So if you are sued in any context, you would need a lawyer if you get served with papers and whatnot. So we handle all of that stuff. We also have a criminal component as well to our firm.
Of course.
Of course.
Yes.
Couldn't get away from that. So we handle criminal matters as well. So we really truly are a full-service, one-stop shop with the expertise and the experience, which over the years we've developed and sort of put this amazing sort of eclectic team together.
Amazing. It sounds like a firm that's a go-getter that serves multiple purposes. Where can our viewers find more information about the firm?
Well, they can always go to my website, www.rdlaw.ca, where they can get information, or they can always contact our office as well. Perfect. And not to make it sound like an infomercial, but you know, they can call us at 905-848-9700.
Well, you are there to serve, and we love what you offer.
Thank you.
So we know where to find Ms. Rinku Deswal. But that's not all. She wears multiple hats, so we'll find out more. लेकिन उससे पहले लेते एक छोटा सा break. Spotlight में फिर से आपका स्वागत है. We are talking to Ms. Rinku Deswal. She's the award recipient of the Women Achievers Canada in 2016 for the category of Legal Entrepreneur of the Year. She has also received an award from the organization Brilliantly Minded Women in the category Business Development and Growth. So Rinku, amazing. Multiple hats like we were talking about. Along these lines, so आप lawyer हो and you're already doing a lot for the community, but now I hear you're also the chair for the board of directors at Peel Crime Stoppers.
That is correct.
So tell us what's that all about.
Well, Peel Crime Stoppers is an organization not for profit, and it's really there to provide a opportunity for the public who might know of a crime, have some information related to a crime, and do not want to call the police. As we know in our community, especially with newcomers and whatnot, एक डर रहता है कि पुलिस के चक्कर में नहीं पड़ना.
Absolutely.
You know, or courts के चक्कर में नहीं पड़ना and whatnot. So what it does is it allows you an opportunity, if you know of a crime being committed, or if you have some information, or you suspect something, so the number to call is 1-800-222-TIPS. अगर आप उस नंबर पे कॉल करें तो आपको अपना नाम नहीं देना पड़ता. It's completely anonymous. आप इंफॉर्मेशन दे सकते हैं. आपको एक कोड मिलता है. उस कोड को अगर आप चाहें तो आप 3 महीने बाद कॉल कर सकते हैं. और अगर एक अरेस्ट हुआ हो, so if someone gets arrested या कुछ follow up पुलिस करेगी, उसमें अगर कोई रिजल्ट हो, you can also get a reward. तो उसमें it's a monetary reward which gets determined by the board depending on the nature of the crime and what the nature of the arrest is. And basically it's a platform कि आप जा सकते हैं, आप एक फ़ोन कर सकते हैं, आप अपनी community को safer बना सकते हैं, पर आपको अपनी identity share करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So you never have to give your name, you never have to give your personal information. तो आपको कभी ये डर नहीं होगा कि पुलिस आ जाएगी, कि मुझे कोर्ट के चक्कर में पड़ना पड़ेगा. So it's an opportunity for the community to get involved, to make their community safer. So it's an access to justice and an access to be involved. It's an opportunity, excuse me, to be involved in your community.
Yeah.
तो मैं चाहती हूँ कि लोग इसको access करें. हमारी community को इसके बारे में पता नहीं है कि so that's why I got involved.
So there's no excuse. Incentive भी अच्छी है, like in terms of it being anonymous, but you might even get like rewarded for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So their incentive भी है. So don't shy away, right?
Exactly. So Crime Stoppers का मतलब कि mandate यही है that we want to raise awareness कि that community crime prevention, it's really everyone's business and responsibility. Or दूसरी चीज़ यही है that you have a platform available where you can access through 1-800-222-TIPS the ability to report any potential wrongdoing or crime that you may know of. And as a result, there is a reward component, but also in addition to that, क्या होता है कि that you have the opportunity to get involved and do something without having the risk of having to go to court or having to be dealing with the police as an alternative. We always say you have the option, you can always call the police, but if you don't want your name coming forward, it's completely anonymous, and that's the beauty of this program.
Perfect. So burn it in memory, 1-800-222-TIPS, and there's no loss. You're helping yourself, your community as well. Wow. ये एक community organization है जो आप involved है उसमें, लेकिन you do many other charitable causes as well. आप इतने busy हो वैसे ही, lawyer हो, अभी chair हो crime appeal stoppers में, but you're still part of many other charitable causes. Why do you think it's important for you to be part of such causes?
I think it's a social responsibility we all have. At the end of the day, I balance my time. I've been involved with St. John Ambulance Peel. For many years, I sat on their board. Been involved with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I've been involved with Victim Services of Peel. I think it's really important to get involved. I think a lot of people talk about change, but I think it's in life you don't talk, you do. That's always been my motto. So if you want to see change, if you want to be part of the system, if you want to see change happening within the system, you have to be a part of the system. And I do think at the end of the day, it's our obligation, it's our responsibility, it's our duty.
Nice. And, if more people think like you, the world would be a better place, because I also find like there's so much you can do, create, but sometimes we use the time we have, to do either not do anything or do something bad. So, why not make use of your talents, your passions, and do something better for the whole community?
Absolutely.
If not, you're an entrepreneur, but you're also part of organizations that are already in place.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And again, you don't stop there. You have also been giving back to the community in the past as a TV show host. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Tell us more.
So again, it's part of my community outreach. I hosted a national television show for about 1.5 years. And I did that just simply to be that, it's a larger audience that you can tap into. So it's just another way of just giving back, talking about social issues, allowing people to have an opportunity to hear a different perspective. I think it's really important. It's just another extended hand of what I do, to be able to connect to our people and to be able to offer different perspectives, different stories, and it's fun.
Amazing, Rinku. जैसे कि हमने सुना, as you were growing up, you were into the crime drama, the suspense, looking for the triumph of good over evil. So almost like finding a mentor in the heroes in those stories, but you are a true real-life woman superhero, I would say, lawyer, giving back to the community, in various ways. And now I understand that you're taking that inspiration out into the community and giving talks as well.
I am. I will say one thing. Thank you for that. But I always say, man proposes, God disposes. At the end of the day, I feel like I'm just trying to do my bit. With respect to the talks, I've done a number of talks on women leadership. Most recently, I gave a talk actually just last week for Tech Mahindra for the Canadian division on women leadership, because they've launched an inaugural piece called Transcend, and it's just really important to get out there. I've spoken with the Mississauga Board of Trade on women leadership, various legal organizations. I think it's really important for us to have that dialogue, to talk about what's happening, what isn't happening, and just sort of, again, be that voice and provide a perspective.
Wonderful. And there's so much more. Rinku doesn't stop there. So we want to find out more about you. लेकिन उससे पहले लेते हैं एक छोटा सा break. Welcome back to Spotlight. We are talking to the inspirational woman leader who wears multiple hats, Miss Rinku Deswal. So Rinku, wow, a lot on your plate. So we have heard about the professional side of you giving back to the community, making the world a better place. But at this moment, I'm going to digress for a bit.
Okay.
Do you have any spare time where, you take time for hobbies, some time for yourself, time with family?
Oh, you need to. You need to. I won't say I've got it all figured out, but it's really important. Family is very important to me. I've grown up in a very close-knit family. And so for me, in terms of hobbies, when I do get some downtime, I love to read. I love to travel, and that comes from my aviation background. I've been traveling my whole life. So that's a big one for me. Scrapbooking. I love photography, so I love to take pictures, and then I love to kind of put it all together in a creative way. So these are just little things that I do just to, when I do get a chance to have some downtime.
I would say you're just toning it down, like even coming back to the photography. I mean, you're so photogenic yourself. I've heard your creativity has also come out through the Miss India Canada pageant.
Gosh, that was a very long time ago, many, many years ago. But yes, I did participate, and I was the second runner-up. This was, again, much earlier in my life.
But still, you explore all, like every possible way, kind of exploring life to the fullest, and along the way, you're finding ways how you can use that to help the community more.
Oh, of course. I mean, dance was a big passion for me growing up. I remember being very young and being the lead dancer when Dave Anand was here for his, I think it was a 75th anniversary or something, and sort of being involved in that. And dance was always a passion, and it was always, again, a way to express and a way to be creative. I love that. So don't get a chance to do it as much or anymore now, but certainly it's definitely, I would say it's in the blood.
It's in the blood, and I'm sure if the chance came, you would grab it. And I know, like you said, you're a go-getter. If you want something, you'll go for it. I'm going to come back to you, that aviation, aviation in the family kind of thing. I hear that your mom and your dad, it was like a fairy tale love story. Is that true?
Well, it's interesting because both my parents are ex-pilots. My dad was a commercial pilot. My dad started flying at the age of 16, was a flying instructor by 20, and my mom was the first woman pilot of Rajasthan. And my dad was actually her flying instructor for portions of her hours. And so, yes, they met at the flying club. And as they say, the rest is history. So that's in the blood. My husband also is in aviation, so I'm surrounded by it. But yeah, so they had a lovely, unique love story back in the 70s. And
that's unheard of in the 70s.
It is, and they were from two different faiths, and they came together. My mom's Sikh, my dad's Hindu.
Wow.
And of course, my husband is Sikh. So it's sort of full circle now. So there you go.
Amazing. So there's so much inspiration already from your growing up in terms of, role models, even in your parents itself.
Very much so. Very
and so you've kind of modeled after them. You've had also good genes, it sounds like. Again, coming back to your mom being a woman pilot, again, in that era, unheard of. So I can see it's in your blood, but there's a lot of inspiration in the environment that you grew up in as well.
Very much so. I think really it's nice when we come out here and we talk about women empowerment, I think it's really important to acknowledge our home environment. It's very important to have a supportive home environment, whether it's through your parents, through your siblings, through your spouse. At the end of the day, I think all of the above have been responsible for who I am today.
And honestly, it just also comes back to you. You put it out there, you're getting the positive energy back as well. You're truly humble, like man proposes, God disposes. Not everybody thinks that way.
But I believe it. I genuinely do. I think if we make the mistakes, we need to acknowledge them as our mistakes. But when positive things happen, it's really, it's not in our hands. We just become the vehicle.
Amazing. And you are thankful to God, and you're also in love with God's creatures as well, not just humans. I hear you have a love for dogs.
I do. I'm a huge animal lover. I adore dogs. I grew up with, I had a Pomeranian, and he was the love of my life. I just love animals. I've worked, when I was in law school, I was working with the SPCA. I believe in, and I was just volunteering and cleaning cages and doing all that wonderful stuff. I believe that they're just the unspoken sort of, children. They can't speak, but they say so much, and they bring so much affection and love into your lives. So that's actually a cause that I'm going to, moving forward, is one of the pieces that I'm quite passionate about and like to do more for in terms of animal abuse and sort of fighting the fight against that. So
I love it. Most of the time people wonder, do true corporate women leaders like yourself have a maternal side? Do you lose it being a corporate leader? And Rinku is a perfect example. You don't.
You don't. I mean, I love to cook. I love to come home and just, make my Indian food and make my dal roti and sit down and have a meal with my family and with my husband. I don't think, I think one has to be very careful to say, just because you believe in women leadership and you advocate for women's rights, doesn't take away from that side of you, and it shouldn't take away from that side of you. You can have it all. And it truly is about being the full package. And that's what I call true sort of women leadership.
Perfect. You're truly a woman leader in all senses.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rinku, for coming and sharing your story today and inspiring all of us today. Once again, where can we find more information, whether it be about you, maybe, or just through the law firm? Where can we find more information?
Well, again, my website would be the best place to look. So that's www.rdlaw.ca. And I look forward to serving the community.
Thank you very much, Rinku. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to being inspired more by with everything you do.
Thank you, Amitha. Appreciate it. Thanks.
तो ये थे मिस रिंकू देसवाल, जिन्होंने हमें एहसास दिलाया है कि we can help our community through our passions. Well, that's a wrap for this week's show. Thank you for watching us. Continue to follow us for update on Facebook and on Twitter, and write to us at spotlight@ethnicchannels.com. Until next week, this is Amitha signing off, encouraging you to make the community better through your own passions.